What's going on, family? It's your boy C-Mo, the C Mitchell, checking in with another Bird Bath ATL. We've already talked a little bit extensively about Ruke being traded to the Jaguars for Maason Smith. I want to get Hightower's thoughts about some of the implications of what that actually means for the Falcons coming up, man. If you guys are not already, like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that notifications bell so you can stay up to date. I really wanted to get your thoughts, Hightower. We didn't have you in the last stream, but you think the Falcons needed to go with a defensive tackle in the draft coming up. And in my humble opinion, this kind of changes things a little bit in terms of where the Falcons could go in the draft. Do you think that it's still a dire need for them to go with a defensive tackle in the draft, or do you think that this does enough to satisfy some of that need where they can maybe go with a cornerback or a wide receiver first, and maybe we're getting, the way I look at it, a lot more depth at bargain prices and guys that specialize in certain things. Like we have a few pass rushers, we have a few guys that are run stuffers, a couple of guys who could do a little bit of both. There's another guy that you were mentioning that you'd like to side from the two main defensive tackles on the boards that people are looking at right now.
Okay, so just to get started, my first pick would still be a D tackle.
Okay.
Even though they just did a little switcheroo on the fans. The guy that they switched for from the Jaguars, he's a little bit more athletic, just a little bit. He's a little bit longer with reach, so his side to side would be a little bit more efficient. But what they really have to make sure of is that they go with a D tackle that is a run stopper now, purely run stopper. I know that we want to normally go with the most athletic person you can, but if we can get a run stopper, that's going to kind of clog up that hole the way and the weakness that we had in our defense last year. So even though they posted the most sacks that they've had in years, and they were against the pass very good from a lineman standpoint, their run game, they were ranked like between 20th and 22nd against the run, which, we want to bring that up to more like 10 to 15 to really make that defense elite. So yesterday, or the other time we talked about Lee Hunter from Texas Tech. I still like him, but we can also go with Kaden McDaniels from Ohio State. He may still be available because it is a D tackle heavy draft that's coming up. And Kaden is 6'2", 320, but he's a pure run stopper. I mean, his first step is ridiculous. He has arms like bats. So he knocks you out of the way, sheds the blocks, and makes tackles. So we'd like to go with him first, if possible. If he's available, that's what I still want, a D tackle. If we were to go with a second pick, we talked about that also. Lee Hunter's still on my list if he was another person we would consider. But I would like to go with either Kaden McDaniels first or Lee Hunter from Texas Tech.
Do you know where they are projecting Kaden McDaniels at? I know Lee Hunter is still, if I'm not mistaken, is being touted as potentially still a second round pick. But what about McDaniel? You said McDaniel from Ohio State?
Yeah, now the problem is that he's from Ohio State. And arguably last year, they had the best defense in all of football. Not this year, but last year. And he was on that squad. He is considered probably to be a late first, early second round pick. The potential is there for him to still be available because of how heavy the D tackles are in this draft. He may still be there without having to do any wheeling and dealing.
Okay. And I really like what you were saying about being able to go with more of a pure run stuffer. Even with and when you said more athletic with what we were getting with Maason Smith, you mean he's more athletic than Ruke Orhorhoro?
Yes. At this point in time in his career, injury-wise, et cetera, he's still a little bit more athletic and a little bit longer side to side. He has more range side to side, so that's going to help the running game also, stop the running game also.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the tape on him. He looks like he's a lot better with being able to shed blocks and use his body, just a real more massive power rusher. but still able to collapse the pocket on some of those passing downs as a run stopper and still as a pass rusher from the defensive tackle position. It still has a little bit of quickness as well too, but just
he's not slow. He has, his first step is ridiculous. Yeah. His first step, he'll catch you off guard, be in the hole, and then with that club arm effect that he has, move you out the way and make that tackle. Plus, don't sleep. He still gets a few sacks. He'll still get some hurries. So it's not like he's just one-dimensional, but he is considered a pure run stopper.
And also in our upcoming video, which I'll link in the description for you guys, we already did it. We talked about our top 10 receivers in the league and where you think Drake London fits at that. So you guys make sure y'all tune in. We'll have that linked in the description.
That's going to be good.
Yeah, on our I Object podcast. Who are some of the cornerbacks that you really like in this draft? I know you talked about some of the big cornerbacks that the Falcons could have here. Yeah, who are some of the cornerbacks that you like in this draft?
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. You know who I really would like to have? The cornerback from Ohio State. He can be available with that second pick. Well, of course, Atlanta's second pick. If possible, I would love for Atlanta to get him. But in general, David Igbinosun from Ohio State. This guy's 6'2". He ran a 4.41. He's 189 pounds. But he's one of the best corners against the press. Okay, so that right there is what you want, and he has length. And they'll even put on a little bit more weight as he plays. But coming in at 6'2", 189, that's not a little cornerback. That's a nice-sized corner. And another thing about him is that his 50-50, he actually wins almost 70% of 50-50 balls against top receivers. Well, at least he did in college. So that's serious.
I see a 10-yard split of 1.58. How do you feel as though...
Which if people don't know what that means, a lot of people don't know what that means, by the way. That 10-yard split, that lets a team know or a coach know how fast you go from seeing the ball in the air to getting to the receiver. Okay? So his initial speed burst to break from backpedaling into making a move towards the receiver, that's what that time means. And if you look at that, that's a pretty good time right there. He breaks on the ball and he's right there with the receiver very quickly.
We'll cut that part out. Yeah, I really like what that might mean for him being able to where he's at. What are the weaknesses that you see out of him?
Well, I mean, the thing is, of course, you're still playing on a pro level. I like for him to be a little bit heavier, maybe about 4 more pounds. And I would like for him to be able to be a little bit better on man coverage, especially when it's deep. A lot of times when you get a cornerback that's over 6 feet, they rely on their height a little too much because, you know, they're going to be tall or just as tall or a little bit taller than a lot of receivers on the average team. Now, of course, we have some receivers, of course, that we know of that are very tall. But on average, the average receiver in the pros is about 5'10". Okay? So when you get a 6'2" corner, he's a few inches taller than that. He knows he has the height advantage in many cases, and if he's athletic, he can jump. So sometimes they look at that as being a safety blanket when they shouldn't. So I want him to get his man-to-man a little bit tighter and just a little bit heavier so he can deliver a good blow.
How Tyler, you said with him playing on Ohio State, you see some of his weaknesses, right?
Yeah, so what happens is that when you play on a team that is so gifted, as Ohio State team normally is, with the size that he has and the strength that he has, you may not even see any of his weaknesses because there's no time to really play around against Ohio State's defense. I mean, you blink your eye, the pass rush is in there, you blink your eye, everybody's is being covered, et cetera, the play's over. But one thing that I really want to see him increase his skill level on is his man-to-man coverage. Definitely. Not that it's bad, it's very good. But for that size and that potential speed, et cetera, and athleticism, let's get his man-to-man a little bit tighter because he has the potential to really be the perfect complement to a team that needs a corner like the Falcons or many other teams that are in the league
Yeah,
without, and holding his own against anybody.
and one thing I really like about him is that I don't feel like we'll have any problems with his physicality. He definitely likes to come up and make tackles on
He
guys.
hits.
Yeah, and
He's physical. But
how
that's
do
what the press does.
mm-hmm. Yep, and like you said, he's able to do good on some of those 50-50 jump balls as well too. Those are some things that I
Yes.
saw, and some that has highlights as well too. The defensive tackle that you were talking about out of Texas Tech. What are the biggest strengths that you like about him?
Well, the one thing with him is that he was pretty rounded. He's pretty well rounded. He's not quite as much of a run stopper. He's kind of balanced. He can drop into a little bit of coverage. He's good at sacks. He is really big on hurries. But at 6'4", 325, he's a hell of a load in the middle. So he definitely can cause a double team. You have to put two players on him sometimes. He starts getting hot, and he'll occupy two players, which leaves a linebacker or an end ready to rush and make contact with the quarterback. So that's the imbalance that he causes. That's why I like him also. Plus, at Texas Tech, he didn't have a lot of injuries. He's very durable, and he's no joke.
Yeah, man, and I want to get some of his tape up here on here for a hot second. Hopefully, they don't hit me with a copyright. But do you feel as though he was a major part of the boy Jacob Rodriguez being as good as we talked about, or do you
Oh,
think that?
yes. Listen, remember this. Texas Tech, they have they receive a lot of residual stars
Hmm.
until NIL popped up. So you would have players that are very good that will go to Texas. They may go to TCU. They can go all these places, and you would forget about Tech,
Hmm.
especially when it came to defense. So Texas Tech would have offensive players, quarterbacks, tight ends, stuff like that were very good, but they wouldn't have superstar defensive players all the time. That you would always want to go to their site to see who's playing or watch their game. Nowadays, you get a guy like him that shows you great players come out of there on defense also, and has become a mainstay, whether it's NIL based or not. He's one of those type of players. One of those guys that got away, that made the move to Texas Tech, and he actually, I forgot where he went first. I think he went somewhere first, a bigger school than that. But he was a steal, and I'm going to tell you what, he's worth it. The Joker's a beast. He's like a little demon running around that 325-pound body. He's
Yeah,
like a Tasmanian devil.
he's massive, man. He's got a lot. He's got some good length on him, and he's able to just really extend, and
Yes.
he's got that. Even though he's got that
He's got good
bully,
hands. He's got good
yeah,
hand play. I called it the Lord of the Dance, and that's between offensive tackle, and a defensive tackle. They almost like are dancing with each other, trying to find an open space to exploit. He's one of the lords of the dance, bro. You give him a peek, a little bit of light, he works his way through that hole, man, and makes the tackle. So he's really something special. And also, you're probably going to hear his name a lot at the next level.
yeah. I agree. I mean, he just looks like quite a handful. I really like
Yeah,
his power rush, but that first step looks really deceptive. I mean, he sheds those
bro.
blocks. He's got a couple moves that he can put on
He
you.
accelerates after his first step. His first step is fast. The gentleman, Kaden McDaniels, is faster than his, but his second and third step, the acceleration from first contact to a swim move or a rip or whatever he may choose to do, going to make the tackle is almost bionic when you watch it. It's like a flash of light, and all of a sudden you're getting him off the ground.
Yeah, Falcons could definitely
Yeah,
could use that added into the repertoire. I definitely don't
it
feel like.
wouldn't hurt, but and the depth. You got to remember, a lot of people are forgetting. They're looking at the starting lineup, especially for a team like Atlanta. Their starting lineup is still more than adequate, but you want depth. You want the second string to come in. You want guys to be able to take a rest, and you want the pressure that the first team started to be able to be maintained by anybody that's backing up the second and third lines. You want it to just be pressure cooked the whole time. So teams don't need, Atlanta, excuse me, does not need to be afraid to continue to add on for each level of the defense. Matter of fact, I pray that they continue to do what they've been doing, and they have an opportunity to add to it with this draft coming up.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. So we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. We will continue keep you guys up to date with any of the moves that are popping up as we get closer to the draft. I don't expect any other crazy moves anytime soon, but Ian Cunningham is really cooking though. He's moving around, so it ain't no telling what we'll see happen next. Hopefully they don't do anything before we're able to release this stuff.
But I will add this. I will. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, real quick, just as an extra, a bonus, I don't want anybody to believe that I still don't want a corner for ATL because I always talk about D linemen. So we went with a DL, a D tackle. We went with your quarterback. I do have a receiver that I'm interested in other than Lance, if you'd like to know who that is.
Who is that?
That's going to be CJ Daniels from Miami. Okay. He's 6'2", 202. He's projected to be late third, early fourth. And out of 67 50-50 balls, he caught 50 of them, which means he is a dominant big receiver. And he also has skills where he could be a slot player or not a slot player. So just saying, he might be available. I don't want anybody not to think that I'm not thinking offensively minded also.
Yeah. I've been hearing people say that they expect there to be a run on receivers very early, and or in the second to third round. How do you think he compares? How do you think he is? What do you think about him in comparison to Zachariah Branch? Because as I was saying in the previous episode with Mel, Steve Smith feels as though Zachariah Branch was not used quite properly in the offense that they had. How do you feel about CJ Daniels?
Well, see, well, Zachariah Branch, the problem that they had is that he wasn't used properly. Matter of fact, his route running is very intricate, and he also can be used in the special teams because he's shifty. So they didn't get they didn't use him the way they could have, or gotten the most out of him. So in comparison, it's just apple and oranges. Is what you like. Which flavor do you want? Because for Atlanta, they're both needed. They can both be of help. But remember, we have a new special teams coach, and you want to make sure that there are more than enough players to fit all those roles, because that should be a strength this season, not a weakness. If I'm correct, I think they had him at a 4.45, but at 6'2", 202, that's awesome. That's a nice size combination, especially with his width. I think his wingspan is almost 6'10" width-wise. So you throw it out there, he can reach out and get it.
You said that you think they could use him in the special teams game. Do you think he's more of a kick returner or more of a punt returner guy?
No, I wouldn't put him at punt. I'd put him at kick.
Kick return.
He's that's a big target. You know what I'm saying? For punt return, you kind of want a smaller guy if possible, unless it's a running back that's like 220 pounds, because you're going to get a pounding. The pounding is different. I wouldn't want my starting receiver or my number 2 guy to be taking the punter's pounding. I'd rather be the kick return pounding.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And I've seen people say with the Falcons, they don't necessarily need another number 1 receiver that's going to command a whole lot of money.
No.
But just another guy who's going to be able to complement what Drake London does as he commands the best cornerback or commands some of these double teams. Just a guy who can make you really pay if you try to command.
He's that guy. Daniels is definitely that guy. Definitely that guy. He could do that. Easy.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Well, it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm really excited to see what we're gonna do on this draft, man. Any other closing remarks before we get up out of here?
No, I'm just praying that the Falcons make the right decisions because there's a lot of good people out there, but I expect greatness out of them. Just like I said at the end of the season, now that we're almost at the beginning of a new season, the Falcons need to make this thing work, man, because you guys deserve it. I deserve it. Fans deserve it. And I'm going to tell you who else. Bijan deserves it.
Yeah. No, definitely. They don't want to lose. You don't want to have a good running back like that spending his whole career here and not being able to really.
You don't want him to be the next Barry.
Absolutely.
You don't want him to be the next Barry Sanders.
That would be terrible.
You know, that leaves early because he's like, I'm done. I'm frustrated. Because I really believe that Bijan wants to stay with the Falcons.
Right.
But I'm just saying, he wants to win too.
Real quick, man, what are your thoughts on them picking up that 5th-year option with Bijan as well, too? Do you
Please, thank you.
Yeah.
Great move. I mean, you don't give that talent away anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Not when you're this close to having something special going on. And he's a fan favorite. I guarantee you his jersey is probably the highest selling jersey in Atlanta right now. So there's been a lot of money made off him. You don't want to pass that up from a monetary standpoint, a business standpoint, a fan standpoint, and an effective stat mover, maker, and doer in the league. So that's him. That's Bijan. Don't let that Jew go.
Agree.
You may get 20 picks for him.
What do you think that? 1 second. How do you feel? What does that mean in terms of why is it better for them to have picked up the 5th-year option on him as well, as opposed to just coming to an extension or something like that right now?
Okay, so the 5th-year option, what happens is, first of all, they're not stuck with an insurmountable amount of money being spent unjustly. What you're pretty much doing is saying to the player, we need you to believe us. We're going to pay you next year, but we want you to know we love you enough that we don't want you to go. That's really what they're saying. You're picking up the option that you'd have to pick up. If they didn't pick that option up, he could do whatever he wants. And you don't want to take a chance with him becoming a free agent anytime soon, because he'll get what he asked for. Some team is going to give him exactly what he wants. So if he wants to be the highest paid running back right now, guess what? He would deserve it. So at least now you have enough money that you can pick up other players. You can continue to build on the potential that you have, and you get to keep the greatness that is Bijan for another year. So that's the smartest move I think they could have made.
Absolutely. All right, man, we gonna get up out of here, man. If you guys have made it this far, again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notifications bell, and make sure you join the Falcons the Bird Bath ATL family for the Falcons.
Bird Bath, baby.
Yeah, man, and it's great being over here, man. Definitely chime in with us, hit us in the comment section, let us know your thoughts. We will be hosting a live watch along for the NFL draft at Twin Peaks. If you're in town, make sure that you tap in with us, come out, man. I'll get you a pint, or just watch from the comfort of your home and chime in and mob up with us in the comment section.
Get your daddy Mims and sit down and relax.
Absolutely, man. But man, we're gonna get up out of here. It's your boy C Mo, the C Mitchell.